Call to order the Enfield Inland Wetlands and Watercourse Agency meeting. It's our regular meeting of November 19th for 7 p.m. Can we have a pledge of allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Fire evacuation. If there's an emergency in the building, you can exit through the back doors, or to my left, go out the doors, down the stairs, and away from the building. Roll call, please.
Donna Corbin-Sabinski.
Here.
Kevin Zorda.
Here.
Virginia Higley. Here. Kelly Hemler.
Here.
Dylan Bridge.
Here.
Ann Collins.
Here.
Ken Kaufman.
Here.
Chris Brunel.
Here.
And Robert Gillespie. Excuse me.
Here.
Okay, next is public communications and petitions. Is there anybody in the audience that would speak regarding items not on the agenda? Again, anybody want to speak regarding items not on the agenda? Seeing none. Next is correspondence. We did get in our packet, and we did get an email about the Central Business District Create the Future session on December 4th from 5:30 to 7. People are invited to come. We also received an email on that, a couple of them. And then we received an email from Georgie regarding a link she sent us, which was pretty fun, regarding wetlands out in California. Where They built the floating wetlands. That was really cool, yeah. So that was nice. We'll do that later. Minutes of preceding meeting?
I'd like to make a motion to add to this section, B, to approve the meeting minutes for November 12th, 2024, the special meeting.
So moved.
Kelly? Yes, in an email. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call? To add that to the agenda.
Donna Corbin-Sabinski.
Yes.
Kevin Zorda.
Yes.
Virginia Higley. Yes. Kelly Hemler.
Yes.
Dylan Bridge.
Yes.
Ann Collins.
Yes.
Ken Kaufman.
Yes.
7 in favor, motion passes.
All right,
Aren't
now I'd
seeing
like,
either of you.
No, everybody's here. Okay,
I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes of October 15th, 2024.
Second.
Kelly, okay. I have a first and a second from Kevin and Kelly. Any discussion? Any changes? Nope. Okay, anything on this one?
No, let's see.
Nope, okay. Roll call?
Donna Corbin-Sabinski.
Yes.
Kevin Zorda.
Yes.
Virginia Higley. Yes. Kelly Hemler.
Yes.
Dylan Bridge.
Yes.
Ann Collins.
Yes.
Ken Kaufman.
Yes.
7 in favor, motion passes. Next would be the special meeting minutes from November 12th, which was 7 p.m. And just get it go.
I will make a motion to accept the meeting minutes of November 12th, 2024, special meeting.
Do I see a second?
Oh, second.
Kelly?
Sorry.
Oh, no problem. Any discussion? I did have, one thing was, you didn't say the time we started, which is 7 p.m. as normal, so we might want to add that. Other than that, I didn't see anything else. So as amended, do we have?
As amended, yep.
Yeah,
Oh, second.
yeah, as
Sorry.
amended. Okay, thank you. Roll call?
Donna Corbin-Sabinski.
Yes.
Kevin Zorda.
Abstain.
Virginia Higley. Yes. Kelly Hemler.
Yes.
Dylan Bridge.
Abstain.
Ann Collins.
Abstain.
Ken Kaufman.
Yes.
4 in favor, 3 abstained. Motion passes, I believe. Yep. Good. Next is the town attorney report. It's dated October 23rd. It's regarding litigations that are in progress for us in P&Z and ZBA. We have no continued public hearings, no new public hearings, no old business, so next we're on to new business. AAA 140, 27 Booth Road, application for agent approval for construction of a single-family home. Ooh, Eric, I'm going to get that wrong. Zylik.
Yep.
Applicant, Paul Rivard III, the owner, map 59, lot 64, R33. It's brought to my attention tonight that this application, they requested to withdraw.
Yes, that is correct. So I received a email earlier today asking to withdraw their application at this time. And I will read from their letter here. It says, I would ask that the commission please consider a waiver of fees for our reapplication, as it will completely/substantially, as it will be completely/substantially the same. My apologies. So with that being said, upon further review of the application, we do believe that it should be a full-on wetlands permit as opposed to a age of approval, because they are building the single-family home entirely within the upland review area. So looking at the fees schedule, if I can pull that up really quickly. Here it is. So agent approval applications are $70, and the full wetlands application is, I believe, $130. So if you wanted to waive the full fee for the entire application, you may do so, but do know that there is still a difference between the agent approval and the wetlands application. So you may also consider waiving the charges that they've already paid up to with the agent approval, and instead have them pay the difference between the agent approval and the wetlands application.
Okay.
Yeah.
How much has staff had to put into this at this point?
We haven't done as much work putting into this. I mean, so far the timeline has been, we received the application, we did an initial review, we found that there was errors in terms of zoning and setbacks, as well as the LOD limits and FEMA floodplains, and so we reached out to applicants saying, hey, you may want to get a variance with the ZBA, and so they then applied to ZBA. And once they applied to ZBA, our staff has reached out to them a couple of different occasions, asking for either withdrawals or updates on what they want to do with their application. And there was minimal to no contact from the applicants until earlier today. So not as much review, but more efforts put into communications.
Anybody have any comments, questions? Opinions, thoughts? Ginny?
When I saw agent approval, I was a little confused because I thought in our wetlands regulations, it said that the agent can only approve up to a certain amount, and that we were going to look at it to expand it, but that, you know, if sheds were too big, you had to bring them to us. So I assume a whole house would have to come to us. So I was confused.
Right, and that's why we had then would shifted it to a full wetlands application,
Thank
because
you.
it is a full house.
Thank you.
Anybody have any questions or comments on the waiving a fee?
I'm okay with waiving what they've already paid and just have them pay the difference. Yeah.
Yeah, anybody want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion that we waive the fees already paid, and the applicant will just need to pay the difference between the two applications.
Second.
And we have to accept the withdrawal.
And accept the withdrawal. All in one.
That's included in my second.
Okay, good.
Who seconded it? I'm sorry.
Kelly.
Kelly, thank you.
Kelly, yeah, so it's Kevin and Kelly. So we're going to approve the withdrawal and then waive the fees that they already paid, to apply it to what they will owe us. Right. Any other discussion? Seeing none, roll call?
Donna Corbin Zabinski.
Yes.
Kevin Zorda.
Yes.
Virginia Higley, yes. Kelly Hemler.
Yes.
Dylan Bridge.
Yes.
Ann Collins.
Yes.
Ken Kaufman.
Yes.
7 in favor, motion passes. My pen's running out of ink. Okay, next is IW 711, 1561 King Street, application for a wetland permit to build an EV charging station with supporting cafe in the Upland Review Area. Bob Patrick applicant, Alimo Family LLC owner, map 17, lot 40, BG zone. Hi, welcome.
Hello, how are you?
Hi, and could you state your name and address for the records and give us a little bit on the project?
I'm Wilson Alford Jr., known as Skip. I'm a registered professional engineer and land surveyor.
Speak into the mic, please.
Yeah.
Make sure the red light is on.
All right, I got a red light. I'm sorry, I have a soft voice. Again, Wilson Alford Jr., Skip. I'm registered as professional engineer and land surveyor. With me is Bob Patrick, who's the owner, developer of the property. The property is on the east side of King Street, just north of the I-91 south ramp. And I don't know, do we have a drawing?
All of your files, I think, are right in front of you, so they're up here. I think you can use the keyboard and mouse to
Okay.
Click on them.
whatever you'd like, your files.
I hit the top one there, Bob, if you, up, yeah, try that. Yeah. Is it gonna come up?
Double
You
click.
can double click on it.
Yeah.
He's better as a builder. All right,
There you go.
there it is.
Well, that's perfect.
And I guess you can see most of it, scroll down slightly.
Probably wanted to.
All right, so as you're looking at it, north is to the top of the sheet. King Street is on your left, and you can see the I-91 southbound off-ramp off the sheet. The property is vacant at the present time. The proposal is for an EV charging station and a cafeteria or a coffee house that's there. The wetlands are on the south of the property, off of the property. There's also some wetlands on the other side of King Street. The closest intrusion that we have near the wetlands is the discharge of the storm drainage at the south property line. You can see the riprap that's there. I think, or yeah. The riprap is here with some silt fence to the south. The wetlands are located down here off the property. There are also some wetlands that are on the other side of King Street. The storm drainage detention system is restricted by an outlet structure which is located about in here. It's a double-chambered structure. All of the water from the site is collected. There's some storm drain system that runs around the north, the west, and then to the south. There's another storm drain system that runs from the south of the building. All the water from the pavement and from the building is collected in the storm drainage system and goes down to a structure which is located about here. And in that structure, there's two chambers to the structure. The water goes into the first one. There's then a wall between them, and there's a reducer. There's a 3-inch opening, which reduces the flow, which is off of the property, to less than what, for all storms. We've submitted a summary, but all of the storms have a reasonable reduction in the flow off of the property, and we're just outside of where the wetlands are. One, I guess is a hiccup. There was an error when the surveyor originally located the wetlands, and we had shown on the drawing that the wetlands were in this shaded line, light line here. He revised it, and it's actually located here. We're still outside of it. The difference was about 8 or 9 feet or so. We're still outside of it. There is erosion control of silt fence that's around the site to be placed prior to it. We have silt fence at the outlet that is down in here. So we're reducing the flow off the piece of property and I think adequate erosion and sedimentation control, and we're outside of the wetlands.
Thank you. I know one of the questions is how the trees are going to be cleared. I don't remember. Is there a lot of trees?
There are not a lot of trees. I had a guy over to take a look at it, and he said it's pretty much gonna be just hand cut and then stumped when they do the excavation to do the parking lot and stuff like that. We don't
There's
need
not a
to
lot of
bring-
trees.
He said that it's too small a site to bring in the big equipment. It'll just pretty much be hand done.
Yeah. Okay, that's good. I was thinking. I was going to ask our usual question.
Go ahead.
Where's the snow going to go when you plow?
You're in charge.
Where are we snowing?
If it ever snows. I hope so. Where would you put it?
That's a good question. I have not looked at that, where that would go, because we can't plow against the Chargers.
Right.
This is
Or the
Bob's.
building.
This is Bob's first EV, station and
Yeah.
coffee house.
Full build. I have
Full build.
one that was an existing site that we didn't have to worry about that.
My guess is that you're probably going to push it wherever you can, and if not, you're going to load it in a truck and take it off the site. So,
Yeah, 'cause you can't-
We have a, got a small
up here?
turnaround there. We could
That's Bergen.
stockpile there if we have to and then haul it away.
it's the usual practice, and for the last few winters,
We haven't had it, well,
we
we
haven't had
can't
to worry
plan on
about
that
it.
though.
No.
So you think you're gonna be taking it off-site?
What's that?
You're gonna take it off-site then?
Yeah, I think we'll stockpile it in that turnaround and get it out of there if it's too much.
I assume that also you'll fill a couple spots until you get real busy, and
Yeah.
Put a sign up.
Yeah. Well, not a sign, but a site-specific that it be placed on,
Yeah,
and the maintenance.
yeah.
I wonder if we could put any, plow any towards that, where the handicap is. There's grass on that,
Yeah.
over by the building.
yeah.
If I may suggest something,
Yep.
do you guys think that you may be able to fit the snow, while you need to stockpile it, in those spots in the northern part next to the building, and then take it off-site?
Yeah, well, we'll have some grass along actually that would be south is this way, so the east will have grass along where the building is. We could probably, stockpile some in that area, but I'm also talking about putting some where the turnaround is, on the west side.
Oh, I'm seeing the turnaround now, okay.
Too big of a storm, putting it there and then hauling
Getting
it
rid of the
away.
way. Yeah.
You said wouldn't the turnaround, he's talking about putting it here,
Yeah.
but then don't you? Wouldn't you need that turnaround for those spots?
Well, we'll have to get it removed quickly.
All right, so we would probably want to put that in as a site-specific condition that final plans must include that note, that snow will be removed and in the maintenance plan.
And the sign will be for that. That has snow plant sign.
There's no snow.
There's no snowpile.
So there's no
They're gonna take it
sign,
off.
yeah.
They're gonna
At the
push
same
it.
time?
Yeah,
Oh.
they're gonna push it to a section and then take it out. Is that what you're gonna suggest?
Yes.
Yeah, so we'll just push it all together and then put it on trucks and take it out.
On the planting plan, I guess this, erosion sedimentation control plantings. The trees, it says mountain ask. Is that, I assume that means ash?
That would be on, Jack's plan.
I think that's a reasonable assumption. I didn't prepare those, but I'm not familiar with an ask.
Yeah, me either.
So you might wanna-
And you might want to make a note that a dwarf purple gem isn't going to survive there. They're not particularly winter hardy here.
So you have to fix it.
I mean, they can put in whatever they want, but they just got to fix mountain ask to be a mountain ash.
And do you think that maybe instead of bulbs, the daylilies, they should have what they, the half-inch one or whatever they had in the plant?
Well, Stella Dora are not bulbs. So I'm not sure who did this planting plan,
Thank you.
but yeah, daylilies are not bulbs.
I didn't think they were,
And
but
half pint isn't an actual size.
thank you.
And a 6-foot mountain ash is really small.
Yeah.
Bulbs and half pines.
Yeah,
It's better than nothing.
yeah.
Right, so that must be,
You else have any comments, questions? Go ahead.
Could be tubers.
I guess I'd have a question or concern about the, what would be the, I guess, southern, so where you were mentioning the base, the catch basin was gonna be, and you said there'd be less runoff. And I noticed that's just sort of north of the wetlands, so I'm wondering if that would have an effect on the wetlands just below that, if they're getting less water. I don't know if that's,
But my usual, feeling for that or thought is that the storms that we talk about are a 2-year storm or a 5-year storm or a 10-year storm or a 25-year storm. Most of what is growing down there is dependent upon the rains that sort of fall every day. And what happens is that it's not that we're going to starve the area that's down there. It's that it's not going to be there today. It may get there a few hours later, or it may get there a day later, but the water's still going to get there. It's not like we're holding it back and it's never going to get there. So we're not going to starve it, and the storms we talk about are infrequent, and the habitat that's there is dependent upon the storms that either rain or don't rain every week or every month.
thank you.
Got one.
Any minute, Ken?
Just got one question on the elevation. It looks like on the west side, up by King Street, it's a lot higher than the east side. You see what I'm saying? You look like 140
It's basically 142, well,
to 132. Are you bringing in?
you mean off the site?
Right.
Yes. There's a retaining wall which is around the, sort of the north, the east, and the south side.
Will you be bringing in any fill?
Yes, there will be some fill that's brought in because,
It's just so close to the flagged wetlands, going from about a 10-foot grade from King Street to the back of the property where the building is going to be.
there'll be about 4 or 5 feet of fill that's placed under the building or in the area of the building.
And it's going to be brought in from,
Whatever, sources it can. There'll probably be 2 or 3 feet of fill that's brought in, which would be a common fill, and then it would be the base under the pavement and then the pavement. So there's 2 or 3 feet of fill that's maybe 4 feet that has to be brought in. And depending upon my guess is that probably in the scheme of construction of it, the retaining wall is probably going to be one of the earlier things that's constructed. And when that's brought in, that pretty well would protect, here around if you look at the site, the retaining wall runs around this area. And so if the retaining wall is built first and then the fill is put in so that you don't have to dig back down through it, it's going to act as sort of a super silt fence, because if you got a retaining wall, nothing's going anywhere. Generally, the terrain is higher here and lower over here. We build a retaining wall here, nothing's going to, get there.
all right, thank you.
And it's only 2 or 3 feet of fill anyway, or 4 feet.
Looking at what, 10 triaxles, 150 feet by 140?
Well, it's
Cut in half.
not, I don't, yeah. But the other thing is that when it's brought in, since it is under the pavement, it is under the building, it's not just going to be thrown there, it's going to be compacted also, so that even if there were a storm, it would be very, dense at that point. It wouldn't just be, loose fill.
32.
I saw 36 about in here.
So what's the height of this wall at its highest?
What do we got there?
And I don't see a scale on these plans. Is there a scale?
Not a scale on them.
The sheets that you're looking at are 20 scale. The others are, I think, also a 20 scale.
Except for that one.
Yeah,
that's got
the
long-
scale on these is 1 inch equals 20 feet.
Thank you. So that's,
I guess there's a little bit more fill in the corner.
I believe I saw one of them that said that the top of the wall was 140 and then the bottom
This
was
corner right here is gonna be the high part.
So I'm just throwing this out
They
there
gave this to me.
because there's no
Second set of-
concrete snow plan,
whole
there's
lot of
no
concrete.
concrete fill plan, and there's errors in the drawings. Would it make sense to just pause, let them correct it, and come back to us at our next meeting? I mean, I don't feel comfortable with, oh, we didn't think of that, and, you know,
They just submitted this electronically to us like 15 minutes before we closed.
I agree. I think that staff is overburdened as it is, and if we just kind of put it all on their shoulders, just
those ones
double
are
check
slightly
everything that we kind of bless
Those
but
ones
don't have on
have
paper,
the last
it would
wetland
be
flags that they had.
really hard for them.
Ones that they were showing. Otherwise, it looks more or less the same.
Yeah, because the silt fence on the east side is only maybe 6 feet from the wall. And I'm assuming there's going to be a grade change. It doesn't really show a proposed grade change.
Commissioners, if I may add something real quick. So just let you all know. So the PDFs that we have pulled up right now, these were submitted to us about 15 minutes before Town Hall had closed. The site plans that you are looking at here, these are not the exact same as the ones that are up on the screen. And as far as I'm, through my, yeah, I know. Through my quick review I did earlier, the only really observable change I noticed was the change in wetland flags. Did you guys make any other revisions when you submitted these?
There were no other changes. The only change there was the wetlands flags that are shown on the drawings the surveyor prepared are down here, and I didn't catch that he changed the boundary. Originally, they were here, they're now here. It's a difference of about 9 feet, all of which is off of the property, and also it's beyond the area where we're doing any construction anyway. This was outside of our activity was outside of the wetlands. It's still outside of the wetlands at that point.
Because they're in the
Thank you.
upland review area.
Right. And I have,
Upland review area, but, we weren't in the wetlands before, we aren't in the wetlands now.
and if I may also ask one more question. Our engineer, he had submitted a comment, that I hadn't seen before I got to you guys as your memo. The comment says, please submit a narrative to go with the drainage calculations showing how the design achieves zero increase in peak runoff for the design storms, which he had submitted to us. And also, the plan includes a detail section for a dry stack stone wall with a minimum height of 36 inches. The plan shows a wall in excess of 5 feet in some locations. A wall detail which meets the vertical and horizontal limitations of the site should be included, likely reinforced concrete. And I want to know if these plans that you had submitted here, that wall that we're talking about, is that still planned to be the stacked stone, or is that planned to be reinforced concrete, or what was?
It's a stacked stone that you get from United Concrete. Their engineers already designed it, so I'll have to get you a paperwork on that.
I'm going to make a motion that we continue this application to the next meeting so that some questions can be addressed and we can have some time to look at the new plans and staff can identify them. 15 minutes before the meeting isn't enough.
Plus, we don't have to update it.
Can I make a suggestion that the revised plans, that the applicant submit revised plans into our office so we can get them to the board prior to the next meeting?
Yeah.
Yes, definitely, that's helpful. Yes, because we need them in our packets
Yeah,
on
we have to
that
look
Friday,
them over.
so we can review them.
I'll second that motion.
So it'll be a week and a half from now. They gotta be in by.
Kenny,
Who was the one that seconded? I'm sorry. Kelly, thank you. I should just start assuming that.
Trying to figure out what
Any more discussion?
It's different other than write a narrative that says we're going to.
Yeah, I think it'll give you time to, there's some other spelling errors on the
Yeah, there's a
plans.
bunch of spelling errors in there, I
We
noticed.
noticed as we were looking at it, so if you could update the plan and fix everything. And then we'll continue it to December 3rd. If that's, can I roll call, please?
Donna Corbin Savinsky.
Yes.
Kevin Zorda.
Yes,
Virginia Higley, yes. Kelly Hemler.
Yes.
Dylan Bridge.
Yes.
Ann Collin.
Yes.
Ken Kaufman.
Yes.
7 in favor, motion passes. So we'll continue it to our next meeting on December 3rd. And then it gives you time to get everything squared away and get it to the staff to review.
Thank you.
So we can have it in our packets the Friday before the meeting. Thank you. Okay, thank you. Next is, excuse me. Yeah, keep all your paperwork for. Okay. Next is DPN 2024-1101, 317 George Washington Road, application for a determination of permit need for a commercial timber harvest. Brennan Sheehan applicant, Jennifer Penquite, sorry, and James Johnson owners, map 63, lot 2, 3, and 385, R44 zone. Hi, welcome. Could you state your name and address for the record?
Good evening.
Hi.
Is this on? All good.
yeah, as long as the red light is on, and just speak into it. You can move it so you're, you don't think.
Yeah, my name is Brennan Shahan. I'm a licensed forester here in the state of Connecticut. I'm working for the landowners, Jennifer Penquit and her father. They purchased the land at 317 Washington Road, the house maybe in 2017, and then the rest of the forest land a little over a year ago. They run a horse farm there. They have stables, riding rink, outdoor paddocks. And then there's an additional 64 acres associated with the horse farm, and that's all forest land. And they hired me a year ago to go in and do an assessment of the forest resource there to look at how is the health and productivity of that forest and look at some different management options. At that time, they enrolled that property into the PA 490 program, which locks it up into a forest for a good 10 years or more without a penalty associated with it. They sat on that plan for a little over 6 months and decided that they wanted to move forward with a forest management activity to improve the health and productivity of this forest. So if they've hired me to go in and, as a forester, and set up a timber sale for them, which I've put together maps and a plan for that timber sale. And it shows where the log landing will be. There's old access off of Washington Road. There's just some mafia blocks blocking the old road. We'll just put those aside and drive right in. There's a good solid road going onto the property. Staging area will be in maybe 100 yards or so, where the fields come in off the property from the south, and then we'll bring the harvesting equipment in and drive in, and the forest will be all painted according to the plan, and the timber harvesting crew will harvest the timber selectively. There's two intermittent stream channels that are, now they're bone dry, but, during heavy rain conditions, they might get some runoff associated with them with the wetlands that are found within the property. And they're only 1.5 feet wide, maybe 8 inches deep, so you can easily put down some log corduroy into those stream channels, and protect the banks and the integrity of that passage, and then remove those when the job is done. The slopes on the property are very minimal. Especially where the crossings are, there's no need to do any type of, other BMPs for it. And then as you harvest the trees and you leave the slash on the forest floor, that just acts as ways to slow down sheet flow as the rain falls on the forest floor. So
This is for a DPN.
Yeah. So are you crossing the wetlands at all?
we'll be harvesting in and around the wetlands. The state statutes allows timber harvesting as an agricultural activity, so we'll go in and around wetlands, and
But you're not going to fill or
we're not going
dig
to
up
fill.
or
No,
anything?
it's all temporary activity. No filling. No pulling stumps out of the ground. None of that activity. Just selectively harvesting some timber here and there, and
And you're not going to fill those intermittent streams at all?
No, we're gonna put that corduroy in the stream
Right.
channel and then remove it when we're done.
There is some controversy whether or not that means that you're filling it, but.
That's right.
Oh, right, yeah, I mean, we could put down bridge panels, you know, if that was what you wanted, but it's really only 1.5 feet wide, so it'd be much easier just to put down some log corduroy and then
When
pull
are you
it back out.
thinking you're going to do this?
We'd like to start December,
Soon?
early
Okay.
December.
So
yeah.
it wouldn't even make a difference at that point,
Right,
really?
because it's going to
Yeah.
be frozen.
Yeah.
Well, maybe.
Well, you never know.
You never know.
Yeah. Yeah, this has
Yeah.
definitely been an odd time right now with the drought, yeah.
Absolutely.
I have one question.
Yes, go ahead.
So the area where there's normally a stream and it's dried up right now, are you going to be harvesting right there?
We're just going to cross that. No, we'll always protect the integrity of the intermittent stream channel.
Okay.
And we won't be harvesting on the bank of it at all.
Okay, perfect.
There's always a filter strip associated with that. And then the Great Brook is designated on the map, back corner of the property. And that area is a no harvest, a good 100 feet on either side of that. So there's no activity at all associated with Great Brook.
Okay. Yeah, because at the conference, we learned that if you take out trees right by a water source, it could change the temperature.
It could, yeah.
So that's why I just wanted, so it sounds like you,
But you're
Right.
leaving,
Yes.
like chest high or something, the trees, right?
Yeah.
Or are you taking out the stumps?
Not that.
Or like so
Stumps
high?
are low.
Stumps are lower, yeah.
Yeah,
You're leaving stumps.
6 to 10 inches from the ground,
Yeah.
usually a stump, right?
Okay.
Yeah. But they're left in the ground, not
That's
removed.
If you're part of this, you can come
Come
up,
up.
but we can't allow public to speak. on it.
Yeah.
Ask a question. One question.
Yeah, if you're with the applicant, you can,
I'm not with the applicant.
oh, okay, then we can't, yeah, then we can't do that, yeah, sorry.
Is there gonna be a question and answer period?
No, no,
Not on this.
it's not a public hearing or
Not a
anything.
public hearing?
No.
I thought it was a public hearing.
No, this is a determination of need.
So it's already a done deal then, is that what you're saying?
Perhaps tomorrow you can get in touch with
Staff?
Stephen staff and ask your question of him. If it's relevant, he'll bring it back to us.
I just asked this gentleman right here, and he can answer right away. Take
No,
2 seconds.
Yeah, we know, it's not a, but that's not what type of meeting this is, sorry. I apologize, but that's,
All right, well,
Okay.
thank you very much for your help.
thank you.
Have a nice evening.
Yes, you too. Sorry about that, that's what it is.
I will make a motion.
Wait a minute,
Oh,
we have
I'm
more
sorry.
questions.
One quick question of staff. It says in the application that it's in a Level A aquifer protection area, and it says on the application, if yes, you will need to confirm the project activity with the aquifer agent. Has that been done?
Please, I will double check if it's in the, I don't believe it is. Give me just 1 second just to double check.
I don't think it has anything to do with the aquifer, but it is on the form, so you would have to do it.
Right. I don't believe the aquifer regulations have anything to do with this application anyways.
We're not doing anything.
Thank you.
Okay, so. I know it does mention throughout here, per the staff, they said that the forester is required to be on site during the whole project. According to the state, I guess, I don't know where that came
Yes,
from.
but there are 3 different levels of foresters.
Okay.
And we confirmed with Nick Zito that earlier today that any one of the 3 foresters that are certified to survey over the forestry operation. Thank you.
Okay.
So,
Okay, that's good, I just wanted to, since it's been on, it's on here, see if you had come up with an answer. Anything else you want to add, Stephen?
just checking the map. It is within the aquifer protection area, but again, the aquifer protection area does not have regulations that I'm aware of for forestry, so.
It doesn't, but I just wanted to bring that out, that it was on the form, so I figured
Right.
I'd ask.
Well, thank you for asking it, and like I said, there's no regulations about forestry within the aquifer protection area as far as I'm aware.
Thank
Okay, anybody else have any comments, questions, concerns, thoughts? No?
All right, I will make a motion that DPN number 2024-11-01, 317 George Washington Road does not need an application as it is a timber harvest and as of right.
Second.
Ginny? Okay, so first and second by Kevin and Ginny. Anybody further comments, questions? No? Can I have roll call?
Donna Corbin Sabinski.
Yes.
Kevin Zorda.
Yes.
Virginia Higley, yes. Kelly Hemler.
Yes.
Dylan Bridge.
Yes.
Ann Collins.
Yes.
Ken Kaufman.
Yes.
7 in favor, motion passes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is item D, IW 712, 188 Moody Road, application for a wetland permit to develop a truck parking and maintenance facility. Triona Realty Corporation, applicant owner, map 100, lot 12, I-1 zone. Hi, welcome. Could you state your name and addresses for the record?
Good evening, Frank Troiano, a representative of Triano Realty Corporation, here for the applicant. If need be, my address is 1408 Enfield Street in Enfield. We're here today to bring forward an application for an expansion of the existing Martin Brower Corporation. Martin Brower Corporation is at 191 Moody Road in Enfield. They've been a tenant of our family organization since 1984. We're happy to bring this application back. I only chuckle because we were here in 2011. We brought you an application to the same commission, into the Planning and Zoning Commission, received full approval. But at that time, Martin Brower wasn't able to bring forward the project to completion. We're here now to bring that forward. And this is a very similar, very mirrored image of what we brought in last time. So we're very comfortable with this application. We have a very good relationship with Martin Brower, and we're very happy to have this new facility be brought up. Currently, they have a maintenance facility on the other side of Enfield, which is closer to Brainerd Road. And everybody is probably aware of Plaza Excavating. They actually are using that facility. This would be a new facility that they would develop. We would develop on their behalf to provide them a full-service, dedicated mechanical repair facility, maintenance facility, and also for the truck parking. It's facilitated to the back of the property. There's another parcel on the front that we have proposed for a larger building in the front for industrial, which is not part of this application in the sense that we're not ready to develop it, but it is part of the application for approval. We're actually looking forward. We have some other interest of that property already, but we're really focusing on the Martin Brower idea. And we actually have Rick Westerberg, who's the GM for Martin Brower for this facility, this distribution facility for our facility, and he's actually here for answering any questions as well. I want to introduce the other gentleman with me to my right, who you're probably very familiar with, Mr. Zayaks from Hesketh & Associates. He's the civil engineer of the project. He was also one of the one of the people with me at the 2011. Probably nobody here from 2011, but I don't know. But David was with me at that time. We're happy to have him with us still, and I'll leave it over to him to bring in a lot of the detail and a lot of the specs of this. We think a great opportunity for I think a top 5 or a top 10 employer of Enfield.
Yeah. Good evening. My name is Dave Zayaks. I'm a professional engineer and principal with F.A. Hesketh Associates. We're located down in East Granby, and our firm prepared the plans for the second time for this project. Is my PowerPoint available there?
Yes,
Close that down.
I'll close this one here.
if you can close that out, and their PowerPoint should be available for you.
Yeah, let's see. Would it be down here in the PowerPoint, you think?
Yeah, that should
There
be
it
it.
is. There
Yep.
it is right there.
And then you should be able to hit.
Yeah, I can just enlarge it, I think. We'll hide the other one. Yeah, so as Frank talked about, we're here. The principal tenant here right now is for Martin Brower's truck maintenance facility, but we do have a second building proposed in the front for 50,000 square feet of flex industrial space. And as we did back in the 2011, the point of the building in the front is to offer an attractive site for another user. And it also kind of shields the public, the roadway on Moody Road from seeing the truck facility and the maintenance facility. So it serves a couple of purposes. me see if I can get my thing to go here. Yeah, actually, we'll switch to slideshow so it fills up the whole screen. There we go. Oops, I jumped ahead a little bit. This mouse is a little different than mine. Anyhow, this is an overall aerial view of the site. You can see it's outlined it's on the south side of Moody Road. It's outlined by the yellow line. It's sort of a rectangle. The site is 15.14 acres. And directly to the north, on the other side of Moody Road, is the existing Martin Brower facility that Frank was talking about. We enlarged that back, what was that, 4 or 5 years ago, Frank?
At the parking facility, 2019.
Yeah, 2019, we did an expansion there, which required a wetland permit as well. But focusing down back at the south side, over on the left side, you can see the white, looking down on it is the white tank, the fuel terminal tank, and the fueling facility right in front of that. And then going down that westerly property line, there is a second building right here. That's an existing, a little over 11,000 square feet. That's rented to local contractors. I think there's an electrician in there and a plumber in that building. And then hiding down in the woods a little further to the south over here, there's actually a cell tower located there that's been there for quite a few years, and it's sort of a sleepy little facility that most people don't know about. The focus for tonight is this sort of central and eastern portion of the site. About half the site has been cleared for many, many years, and then you have this wooded area on the south side and the easterly side. There is the old railroad corridor running along the west side here, which may or may not be activated one of these days, but it's definitely an asset for the area. Going to the next slide. This is sort of just the boring planning and our survey map. What's of significance here is by that bright green color, that's the actual flagged wetlands on the property. You can see they're mostly fingers coming in off of wetlands from the abutting parcels. And we actually did another application back in 2020 where we officially established this wetlands line because the town's map was pretty inaccurate here. And for whatever reason, back in 2011, we didn't do an official map amendment. I don't think the commission back then was doing official map amendments. The more recent commission, including you folks now, seem to be following that process of if the town map is way off, you go through an official map amendment. And we did that back in 2020, and this was the accepted line. So that's the basis of the current application. The wetlands were the same back in 2011. We just didn't have an official map amendment at that time. So as Frank pointed out, the proposal is basically the same. This is actually the 2011. I managed to find the 2011 colored rendering in our data files, and you can see up at top that lighter tan building is the 50,000 square foot building we're talking about, and then the orange color would be the Martin Brower truck maintenance facility, which is basically the same configuration for the size of the building as what we're proposing. One change this time around is we're moving their fueling facility to the south side of the building instead of the north side of the building, and that's mostly just for new logistics on the building. They currently have the fueling facility across the street on the north side. That will be moved over here, so that'll free up some space on the north side because to be honest with you, we really squeezed that fueling facility in on the north side, and it's kind of in a little bit of an awkward position. What we have is, in addition to the facility, we're going to have some additional short-term truck parking around the outside. It's the same as it's shown on here. And basically what happens is the trailers get loaded on the north side from the warehouse, and then they would be parked on this side, and then drivers can come over here and pick up their truck in the morning or in the evening, depending upon what their route is, and go off the site.
We also have about 48 parking spaces for employees. Some of them are associated with the actual operation of the maintenance facility, but a lot of them are the drivers who will park their personal vehicles here and then pick up their trucks and go on to do their routes. There's also parking and loading associated setup for the 50,000 square foot building. We will be using the existing driveway that runs north-south next to the terminal. I think that's actually called Triano Avenue. Unofficially, it's Triano Avenue, but that's staying. That will be modernized, widened a little bit and modernized. And then we have a new driveway proposed over here on the right side, which was actually something we had worked out with the fire marshal back in 2011 to provide continuous flow back and forth across the site for emergency access and the like. We don't really see this driveway being utilized very much by the facility, but it's a good second route for just overall access and emergency access on the property. Looking at the current plan, what I did was I colored up GR1 in our set. I didn't recolor the layout plan since it's so similar to what we just looked at. But again, you can see the 50,000 square foot building, the Martin Brower facility, the fueling facility. And down here in this sort of purple color is the edge of the wetlands. And then this sort of red dash line is the 100-foot upland review area associated with those wetlands. So you can see none of the buildings are in the upland review area. It's starting over here on the east side. We got a little bit of the proposed driveway there. Then we have about half this stormwater pond located on the east side, and some of the parking in the back here, a little bit of the parking over here, and then another stormwater pond. And what we're proposing is 4 stormwater basins on the site. We have number 1, 2, 3, and 4. And all of the drainage from the site will be directed to one of those 4 ponds. Actually, for basins number 1 and number 2, that flow goes to the north and connects into the storm drainage system on Moody Road. And then the larger ponds here, 3 and 4, those will discharge to the south to the wetlands that are close by. And those are relatively small discharge points. There's only 15-inch RCPs coming out of these things. These are very heavily controlled for flow and for water quality. You can see in particular this basin here on the east side is rather large. On some of these industrial sites lately, over the years, we were allowing things to sheet flow off the pavement directly into the basins. I'm tending to drift back to go back to catch basins and not have that sheet flow. I've been bumping into problems with some of that sheet flow eroding and just hot spots, because you can't pave something exactly level and then 5 years later expect it to be exactly level. We all know that that's not the way parking lots age. So I'm back to catch basins with hooded basins and individual discharge points. It's just part of the process of learning, experimenting and learning. So I'm back to the old-fashioned way again. So all of the basins around the outside that before they discharge into the water quality basins, the catch basins, they all have hoods on them and sumps as a little extra precaution. The basins themselves are sized to provide the water quality volume that's necessary by Connecticut DEP. And basically what we had to do here is since 2011, I think we've discussed this on some other applications, the calculations that we need to do have changed. The data has changed. DOT is using a different methodology now. It's actually based on NOAA data, which literally changes almost every day. If you go on the computer models and look up the data, it changes constantly based on accumulation of data from storm to storm. So that all of our drainage calculations had to be redone doing that. And then also in 2024, DEP changed the water quality volume requirements. It's actually about 30% higher than it was before. And so we had to redo those calculations to show that we have adequate water quality volume on the site, which we do. Now the floor drains, which are always a big concern in these maintenance facilities, those get directed to the sanitary sewer. So there's no discharge from inside the building onto the asphalt. It will go through oil separator system. It's required by WPCA and DEP, and that will connect directly to the sanitary sewer, so that's not a concern. Our package includes a full E&S plan. It's comprehensive, follows the general criteria that's required. One good thing is the site is essentially flat, so we don't have any steep slopes or anything to really be concerned about. Conventional erosion control measures such as silt fence and hay bales and the like will work here successfully. That's all included with a narrative, per your regulations and the DEP's regulations. We will be having the file for a general permit registration on this site because it'll be over 5 acres of disturbance, and we'll be doing that following town approvals. There's a full landscaping plan, sheets LS1 and LS2 in the set. Some of those are buffer plantings. I refer to them as buffer plantings where the development is closest to the wetlands. If we go backwards, if I can do that, you can see, this is a good picture to show you. This would be the edge of the cleared tree line here. So you can see that down in this bottom area, we have a nice buffer to this area in here. We have a nice buffer down here in the corner where the principal wetlands are. And we have a pretty nice buffer here along this east side, in addition to the fact that the water quality basin is also, acting as a man-made buffer, if you will, to the edge of the parking. The wetlands, the water quality basins will be seeded with a wetland seed mix that'll jumpstart the growth in the bottom of those basins. That we've used that very successfully in many of these applications. The site lighting, we're looking to do full cutoff fixtures at our outside perimeter, so we won't have spillage back over into the wetland area, particularly of concern on the south and the east side. So we'll have full cutoff fixtures there. And for the Martin Brower facility, we're going to have a security fence all around. It's shown on our sheet LA, all around the outside perimeter of the area. So that acts as, we find that acts as a good barrier to keep miscellaneous debris maybe on the facility from blowing over into the, over time into the water quality basins and then further over into the wetlands. So in addition to providing human barrier around the facility, it acts as a good barrier to keep all the activities associated with the industrial use contained on our property. We have no direct disturbance to wetlands. We've worked, as we did back in 2011, we've worked to design the project around the wetland assets. That's why you have a lot of little nooks and crannies here to work ourselves around. It's not a straightforward conventional design. And basically we have some staff comments. You have a report dated on November 19th, which is their normal good job of outlining the application for you folks before I even speak. There are just a couple of minor comments to resolve with the staff, but nothing of any consequence that's going to change the design at all. They also listed the various conditions of approval, which Frank and I have reviewed, and we have no issues with those conditions of approval. And as they note in their report, we do have a site and stormwater maintenance plan built into the plan set. This is something that I've developed with this commission in particular over the years. It's on all our plans, and it has specific reporting requirements that are necessary, inspection, cleaning of the storm drainage system. These systems will work great until you don't maintain them. It's like a lot of things in life, right? So if it's just a general site maintenance process makes these things continue to work great for years and years and years. And Martin Brower, of course, is a responsible tenant, and they do a good job across the street. I did an inspection on them, and they passed. So we're doing pretty good there. So other than any questions you folks might have, I think that's a good summary for now. Frank, did you have anything else you wanted to add?
Yeah, I'm glad. I think it's very helpful to bring up the 2011 plan, because this one, we're still finalizing all the final details on. the plan hopefully for heading to planning and zoning next, but at the same time, I think the previous plan in 2011 is almost a mirror image, except for some logistical changes. And upon that, I wanted to bring up Rick Westerberg, who's the general manager of the Enfield Distribution Center for Martin Brower, and just to provide any more insight, but also to for any questions we have, so everybody can actually come up and give you the 2 cents worth of what you were looking for.
Thanks, Frank. Appreciate it. Yes, my name's Rick Westerberg. I'm with Martin Brower. Been with Martin Brower for 39 years, mostly all in Enfield. We've been working together for pretty much that entire time. We've had a great relationship, expanding our facility multiple times, actually, with the parking lot as well as the facility itself. And again, we've had a long-term relationship. It's terrific opportunity for us to actually move this facility. We are currently at Plaza, as Frank mentioned earlier. Even prior to that, we used to be at Ryder down in, I think it was down in Windsor a long time ago. So our traffic back 15 years ago, whatever it was even more difficult. By moving across the street, we will cut down the traffic movement quite a bit from going to Plaza back and forth. We ship out approximately 60 routes a day. So that's a lot of traffic that we have going up and down the street, and particularly if we're going over to Plaza all the time. Being right across the street makes our lives a whole lot easier, makes my employees a whole lot happier, and it really allows us to manage things a lot better, too. So it's a great plan for us. It's very exciting for us. We wish we could have got it done in 2011. Things didn't work out as well as we wanted to back then, but we persevered, and now we have an opportunity to do it again. So looking forward to just getting this project done. So if you guys have any questions for us at all, be happy to handle that. From an employment standpoint, we have about just under 300 employees in Enfield right now. With the facility, it helps us with a couple things. First of all, it helps us retain people. When our people see a facility like that, our new hires, they get very excited about it. They see that there's a permanent structure. They also see that it's a very high quality type of position. We're not running up the street to a smaller facility or a garage, and it helps us retain more people and attract more people from a competitive standpoint with people that we're battling with for tractor trailer drivers and or warehousemen. Not to mention the maintenance facility, the people that actually work there as well. There's approximately 10 people that will work in that facility, so that's another basic group of employment. And it just sets us up for the future. So again, appreciate it. If any questions for me, please feel free.
Thank you.
Sure.
Kevin?
First, I'd just like to say I like the way that this is set up because it does visually block, the most active part of this site from the road. So it is kind of hidden, and I think that's a great asset. Maybe you could just quickly kind of explain how. I know you said in the building the drains have separators and it goes to the stormwater into the sewer system, but with obviously truck maintenance, a lot of trucks running through here, there's going to be a lot of pollution in this parking lot. How is that handled in these retention ponds? What happens to that pollution?
Yeah, so what we have is all of the pavement areas sheet runoff to catch basins first. And then in those catch basins, we have our hooded structures built into those. So floatables and things of that nature will be trapped there. And then following the DEP guidelines for these types of facilities, we have basically the way the calculations run is that you are concerned about the traditional 1 inch of runoff off these sites, because in theory, anything after a good 1 inch of runoff is back to clean pavement again, if you will. So you have to capture that, but now it's 1.3 inches basically that you need. So it's about a 30% increase in volume you need to capture. And what we do is we set these things up as primarily wet bottom basins. They certainly will be wet bottom basins during the wetter parts of the year. And the outlet on these basins is set above that water quality volume. So that first bit of water goes into these basins and is treated by the vegetation and just the water volume in the basins before it can leave the basins. So really, a lot of times when these basins are dry, pretty close to dry, the entire water quality volume is captured in the basin. It doesn't even leave the basin, So that's the theory. It's a well-tested design over many, many years. And the way I like to do it is instead of just creating like one giant basin someplace, I like to, first of all, follow the natural flow pattern on the site, which this does, and then spread the load around into smaller basins rather than focusing it on one primary basin. So again, the activities we're working on the trucks, potentially applying greases or oils or something to the vehicle, that will be done inside the building. And if there's any kind of loose materials on the floor or whatever, they have to go through oil separators, and then again, they go to the sanitary sewer. They can't make it to the drainage system. So all in all, I think it's a good design. We've done a lot of big industrial developments over the last 10 years, as we all know. We're surrounded by them now. And I've been watching and monitoring what's going on and incorporating things into our design over the years, as I suggested. I moved away from the sheet runoff and things of that nature. So I think we got a good design here.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Ken?
Being a maintenance facility in that, and we're talking a lot about water runoff, is there going to be a truck wash in the area?
There's going to be, one of the bays is actually a truck wash, and they use a high-pressure system to wash the outside of the boxes, basically.
Salt. We got winter coming
and
up.
that goes into the floor drains and then into the sanitary sewer. So again, that can't escape to the outside, but all the washing is done inside a contained bay. It's I believe the south bay is the wash bay.
I just wanted to thank you. Your presentation is always good and thorough and complete before you come to us, but I especially want to thank you because you actually have a snow stockpile sign.
Well, you trained me well.
Thank you. It's
That's why
appreciated.
I have my snow pile areas, and I have my site maintenance plan on all the plans.
Thank you.
Good job. Take us a while, but
And by the way, I just want to point out that this job is our job number 97218. So I've been looking at this site since 1997. I'm ready to move on. So
he's ready to have it
hopefully
finished.
you will agree with me. So.
Anybody to my left? Any comments, questions? No? Is that all right?
Just have one comment. Excellent presentation.
Thank you. Well, it's been 47 years. You either learn how to do it,
No, it was
learn how to do it, or go do something else.
very well organized, and all the questions I had, you answered them. So thank you.
Thank you. Stephen, did you have anything to offer?
I mean, I guess my biggest question is, how do you guys plan on removing the trees? And if you plan on tearing the stumps out of the ground, is that going to use fill that's already on site or coming from off site?
Yeah, well, the trees that are within the actual development area, they'll be removed in a conventional way. They'll be cut close to the ground, and then they'll be removed by excavation. And then any fill that has to come in is going to be all clean gravel, and has to meet all DOT standards for the type of material. On this site here, I don't see us using any reclaimed material because of the heavy truckloads. I don't particularly like the way that material works. We're using it everywhere for regular old commercial parking lots. But on these types of truck facilities, I like native virgin material. So we'll be bringing in bank run gravels and crushed stone and not reclaimed asphalt materials. I don't like the way they hold up with these heavy truckloads.
Yeah, that's good.
Thank you.
Thank you. All set? Anybody else? One last thing? Yep.
Stephen, is engineering, it said in progress, are they all set?
John had not made any comments at this time, but this will be going into PZC where he will do a review there as well. So
Probably has more for them.
Yeah, I'm sure. All right, I will make a motion to approve IW number 712-188 Moody Road, application for a wetlands permit to develop a truck parking and maintenance facility, Triona Realty Corporation, applicant owner, map 100, lot 12, I-1 zone.
Do you have a second?
Second.
Jenny? Okay, so Kevin and Ginny, any further discussion? Seeing none, roll call?
Donna Corbin Sabinski.
Yes.
Kevin Zorda.
Yes.
Virginia Higley, yes. Kelly Hemler.
Yes.
Dylan Bridge.
Yes.
Ann Collins. Yes. Ken Kaufman.
Yes.
7 in favor, motion passes. Thank you very much, gentlemen, and good luck with your projects.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Oh,
You
yeah,
too.
Next is our 2025 meeting calendar. I do have one comment on it. So November 4th, 2025 is Election Day. So I'm sure we won't be having a meeting because it's local elections. So I don't know if we want to cancel it now or not put it on there or leave it there and cancel it.
Yeah, I think this year we left it and canceled it afterwards.
Okay.
So do you want to do the same, just leave it and
Yeah.
cancel it when time comes? Okay.
Sounds good. Okay.
And then, well, go ahead.
I was going to make a motion, but if you have anything else?
Thank you. Yep, I do have one more, oh no, my sticky note, there it is. Sorry. There is one, conflict with the, schedule.
Oh.
So with, where is it? Here it is. With June 17th, there's a conflict with the, Enfield High School graduation. Enfield TV will be broadcasting it on that day, so the room is still available. We just won't have Enfield TV, and the rain date is going to be 6/18. So if you want to still have the meeting here, but do an audio recording as opposed to a TV recording, that's your option. But if you would also like to make a motion to, move it to another date or whatever, that is also an option.
I think we can wait and see.
yeah.
Yeah, let's wait and see.
Yeah,
Wait till-
it's not an issue. We've done it before where we've had to be moved before and we've only had recordings. So that,
It might get rained out.
yeah.
That's true.
Or we may not have anything to work on, or who knows? There's a lot of things could come up. Yeah. All right, so we'll leave it the same and then address it when time comes.
Okay, sounds good.
I will make a motion to approve the 2025 meeting calendar as proposed.
Second.
So it's Kevin and Kelly. Any further discussion? Seeing none, roll call?
Donna Corbin Savinski.
Yes.
Kevin Zorda.
Yes.
Virginia Higley, yes. Kelly Hemler.
Yes.
Dylan Bridge.
Yes.
Ann Collins.
Yes.
Ken Kaufman.
Yes.
7 in favor, motion passes. Thank you very much. Next is enforcement reports. 10 Wheeler Drive, Enfield, Connecticut, a cease and desist. Hi, welcome. Could you state your name and addresses for the record?
Yes, good evening, Madam Chairman.
Hi.
Attorney Paul Smith, representing Daniel Smith, who is the subject matter of enforcement action. To my right is Steve Witowski.
Wesolowski.
Sorry.
Easy one.
Sorry about that, Steve.
All Polish name.
Who is a general contractor. He does mostly large commercial contracting, but he knows Daniel well, and so he's going to sit in and
You opted to come visit.
work with us on this.
Make sure we get it right.
Do you want to bring us up to date, Rick, or?
Okay, so. What you have tonight, I received from Attorney Smith earlier today.
Yeah, I did do a letter. If you don't have, if someone needs a physical copy, I do have copies.
No, you gave it to us. Yeah,
Okay.
Thank you.
Sorry for the lateness, but
Yeah,
I've only been involved for a few weeks, so,
yeah, you're catching up.
hard to catch up, and it's not like we were trying to get you a plan that we want you to approve or something.
Right,
like that.
right.
More to get you a status.
Right. Thank you.
So regarding the complaint or the violation, on November 2nd, I received an email and an associated photograph with it regarding 10 Wheeler Drive. Property, and the property owner has been before you before for a similar violation back in 2023. Excavation work within the upland review area of the, and in the floodplain of the, within the lake, Shaker Lake. And the property was inspected, and there was activity going on, the construction of a retaining wall down by the lakeside shoreline of the lake. And a cease and desist order was issued to the property owner, and also it was sent out to Attorney Landolina at the time, who wasn't able to handle the matter. It was turned over to Attorney Smith. Since that time, there's been no activity, further activity. Actually, the building department also issued a stop work order in the matter. And some silt fencing has been put up. I believe it's in the, it's going to be the southeast corner, I believe, of the property where the, you'll see in the photos there, the actual wall itself. There's a corner there where the sand was bare and could have washed down into the shore area further.
Yeah.
So those photos that you, I could probably bring up on the screen, might help a little bit. Oh, maybe not.
Did you find them?
Oh, that didn't work good well. Let's see. All right, so in the letter sent by Attorney Smith, this area here was from 2023. And if you look along here, this was the original, they were just rocks and stones that formed the wall along the water line. And here's a little, this one here is a little bit better. Maybe I can blow it up here too, a little bit more. So you'll see that those are just rocks that are along there. And then if we look down, here's another photo. They're just rocks and small boulders compared to what you have today in the photos. Of the actual work that's has been done out there. This was all done at the time I went out and issued the cease and desist on the 5th of November. And that's the wall. This area here is the area where silt fencing has since been put in place. You can see where some of it has washed down there. And again, the wall continues on across the shoreline of the property. This was just the activity that was going on. Again, this is the area where the silt fencing has been put in place to assist with any more, or stop any more erosion. And that is the top of the wall, or the partial top of the wall, as it exists now. I think that's it. So you'll see that this wall is much different than what was previously existing there as a seawall of sorts. And since the issuance, there hasn't been any further activity, as far as I can tell, other than the installation of the silt fencing.
Did you have anything?
Yeah, just a few brief comments. So obviously, my client, what he's been doing at the lake end of the property is basically rebuilding the retaining wall that was there. You saw from the pictures of 2023. And when I did in my letter give you, there was a site plan, I guess, done in 2023, which I gave you the regular version and the blown up one, which indicates there's an existing retaining wall. Having said all that, the cease and desist has been issued. My client has not done any additional work on the property. Has installed the silt fence and also some, I think, some hay bales above, or they're not really hay bales, they're more like hay in like a tube or something.
Silt sacks.
Yes. And we are working with Steve, we're retaining a soil scientist and a professional engineer just to look at this very quickly and give us sort of a couple of things, right? Have we changed, because I think we obviously want to give you these answers. One is, have we changed the height of the retaining wall? I mean, what was there in terms of height and what is there now? As you can see from the survey, there was topographic done, so we should be able to, a PA should be able to tell me at least within, a half a foot or something, whether it's, it went from a 4-foot wall to an 8-foot wall, or it didn't, you know what I mean? And then the other thing is, obviously, we'll have a wetlands person look at it, just to make, and the P to look at it, obviously, to make sure, because it's a retaining wall, that, it doesn't have any issues in terms of construction, in terms of its viability as a retaining wall, right, that it functions. And then the final thing, the wetlands will look at, the issue of the impact here. Again, this is his yard, obviously, so it's a little bit different. But we want to get ourselves within full compliance, complete disclosure. The rear yards of these properties are the front yards under the zoning regs. So we have an issue there that I'm having to deal with. So the plan is to deal with that, but also importantly to engage the PE and the wetlands person and just get to a resolution. And so, my client's interest at this point is just to get within full compliance. It can be somewhat of a painful process, but his intent was like not to cause another, sort of calamity here and sort of, have this become sort of a, sort of interscene warfare with the town or something. That's not his intent. He just wants it resolved, and so no activity will take place if your agent wants additional safeguards in terms of hay bales or whatever. He just needs to let us know. We'll comply. And, see if we can come up with a reasonable resolution. If it means the wall has to be taken down a bit or modified in some way, we would certainly consider that.
Looks like a nice wall.
It is, and of course, that's, I mean, obviously intended.
See what happens.
We're just trying to improve the property. We're
Yeah.
not trying to sort of create new, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Space out of wetlands or something like that, or fill wetlands. We're not doing that. Obviously, it's an upland area.
Right.
But again, I get the commission wants to be sensitive to it. He lives there. He owns the house next door. So he's not doing this for, you know what I'm saying, anything other than his own purposes. He had actually a much more robust plan, which he did bring to the town a few years ago, where he basically wanted to patio, because those aren't big yards there, create a large patio, but I think there was a coverage issue, and so he withdrew that, which is fine. So he's, it's just one of those things, he wants to get it resolved and moved on.
Okay.
So, again,
So
trying
more to
not
come?
to create any difficulties for anybody.
I would just mention that in the letter under 22A-40 that's noted in there, that it pretty much mirrors 4.1.d in our regulations. And also just reference your regulated activities, the first section there. Or let me go back to this one. If you look at this section 4, it says such incidental uses shall include maintenance of existing structures. This is a little bit different than maintenance of existing structures. And then if you look at the regulations under regulated activity, the Wetlands Board has the authority, all areas within 100 feet of the boundary. So just to re-highlight that as part of the permitting process.
We're certainly not trying to sort of circumvent that either.
Nobody's trying to dispute that it's not a repair, it's not maintenance. There's an existing wall that was there, that was removed, there's a new wall there now. Our intent is to do exactly what Mr. Smith said, which is meet the needs of this board, whatever those needs are, to move forward with it and come to a resolution that you guys are happy with, and try and keep the homeowner happy. But at the end of it, it's the big picture. So the objective is kind of to be able to maybe mesh the two together if possible. But really, at the end of the day, this supersedes it.
So
yeah.
my question, are you doing the construction, your company?
Yes, we're involved now. We haven't done anything to date. You know, we've
Okay, so
been-
you didn't do this original
I
work?
didn't do any of this.
Okay,
I've
'cause
been
my
to the
concern
site,
is-
But I didn't do any of the work.
Okay, my concern is that they removed that old wall and there was no protection for the lake. And secondly, do you know if this wall has been geograded? Does it have geogrid? Do you know how it was built?
I don't know, and actually, part of the question I was gonna have for you guys was, I don't have that answer. Knowing Dan, he probably has a full plan for this wall. I wanted to see that, but my PE is gonna want to inspect that anyway, so
Yeah.
we're probably gonna dig to the backside of that
Yeah,
down.
'cause it's well over
I
4
wanna see
feet,
it.
yeah.
I wanna, if we're gonna sign off on it, that it's meets
Structurally
standard
sound
and
and-
code,
yeah.
and I'm taking responsibility, I wanna see it. So, you know, if there's something there, it's us just inspecting to make sure that what I tell you is truthful.
Perfect.
And, you know, real.
Right, perfect.
Yeah, and I think this brings up another issue that, I don't know, maybe if staff can write a letter to the association, because this came up before,
Right.
that they send out a letter that they're dropping the level of the lake, go ahead and do everything you need to do. I think they need to be admonished and told that that's not necessarily the case. Yes, you know, it's a good time to do it, but you need to come to us if you're doing anything there. So,
Unfortunately, I'm sorry, that was part of the impetus,
Yeah.
I guess, because the lake was being dropped, so,
Right.
you know, do your work.
Hurry up,
But
get it done.
Yeah. Before-
Yeah.
Again, that doesn't,
Yeah.
I'm not saying that's an excuse.
no,
'cause
and it's
not.
come up before, so I don't know if we can write a letter, maybe Wetlands can, you know, just an
We can-
informational letter.
We can
not-
advise them, they do send out the informational letter. It tells them they can have the opportunity to clean up their property and
Yeah.
do some minor stuff, but
But
we
any
had a similar
construction,
one,
yeah.
that's, should not even be thought of as part of the dropping of the lake. The other thing I want to mention is, it was inspected by the building department, and footings were poured there, according to the inspector. So cement
For the
footings.
retaining wall?
Yeah.
Oof,
So,
oof.
so we're not really sure. Obviously, he couldn't tell because how deep they are or anything
The
regarding.
building inspector inspected it with no permit? I'm just curious on that. I'm asking out of curiosity.
We're not building permits, so we're not
No,
building.
they were just inspecting it off.
It's a violation.
Off the site. I get it, I get
It
it.
becomes a violation because of the height of the wall, it's a retaining
Yes,
wall,
and
so it holds a
anything over 48,
surcharge.
Yes.
So without a building permit, they also need a building permit for
They
it.
they inspected it.
No, I was
Without
trying to
the permit.
follow that, which aspect of it,
Yep.
you know?
No problem.
To continue,
So,
yeah.
I'm happy that if you want to keep it on your,
Yeah.
your calendar or something, I mean, I can and I can work with staff, obviously, if you want us back, we will come back at any particular point. I
Well, I
would-
think it needs a full application. I think you said you're gonna go
Right.
for a full application, but
So I would say, you know, I mean, only because there's a compliance issue, but, you know, my hope is within that, well, your next meeting is the 3rd, so I don't want to say by the 3rd, but by the end of December, we would be prepared to do a full submittal.
Then the 17th, I think it is?
Yeah, 17th, that we would,
Yeah, it's gonna take a little time to get the PE in and get everybody involved, wetlands, all of it, to make sure that when we come back, we have
All your
everything
pieces.
prepared for you. It's, you know, we're kind of getting new to this and just getting involved and really didn't have the opportunity to prepare anything, honestly. It's more as just to introduce and say that we're here and we're
Checking
gonna take
into it.
over and meet and greet and make it right, whatever that may be.
Sounds good.
Rick, do you feel the erosion control is sufficient for the
Back out there and look at
rain
it.
coming?
What I saw from the picture, the silt fencing was there, but it may need more. And I'm not actually sure how much more it may need, so unless there's a closer inspection. I didn't actually go onto the property itself. so.
Okay.
If you go or somebody goes and they want to let us know, I'll make sure that myself or somebody from our organization is there. And if you specify, hey, this is what I want, we'll make sure that those needs are met, if not exceeded.
Thank you.
Thank you, that's good. So you gonna make a motion?
So I will make a motion to keep the cease and desist order in place for number 10 Wheeler Drive, Enfield, Connecticut, pending full application or other communication with the applicant.
Second.
Thanks, Kevin and Kelly. Any more discussion?
I just, not to be the not fun person here, but, but the statute allows for, a citation of up to $1,000 for a violation. I'm not saying we have to do that in this case, but where we keep seeing the same properties coming back to us with violations, I think it's maybe something to consider, that to maybe give people a little incentive not to continually violate the regulations. It also, the statute allows for us to create an ordinance whereby we could actually fine people up to $1,000 a day every time they're in violation. Again, not something that's immediate for this, but I think we might want to start thinking about putting that rubber to the road.
Things in place?
Yeah, we've had those discussions in the past, and I think we do need to have more discussion on that.
Yeah.
Maybe when the letter's
Well, we have a-
written,
yeah.
something could be noticed that we are thinking about, we're discussing fines. Not for you guys, you're working with us, we're happy. But for the people that just kind of don't heed our warnings, maybe a letter, once the association knows.
Yeah, we can sort of discuss this a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we're on a motion.
Yeah.
So, anybody else? No? Roll call? This is
Donna-
to keep the cease and desist,
My motion.
yeah, his motion, yep.
Donna Corbin Sabinski.
Yes.
Kevin Zorda.
Yes.
Virginia Higley, yes. Kelly Hemler.
Yes.
Dylan Bridge.
Yes.
Ann Collins.
Yes.
Ken Kaufman.
Yes.
7 in favor, motion passes.
Thank you all very much.
Pleasure working with you again.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yep.
you too. Yeah, we'll talk
Give
about it
him
on the
my card and just ask him to call me
miscellaneous.
tomorrow.
Yeah. Use miscellaneous.
Him or whoever out there.
We have miscellaneous? Oh, yeah.
I'll see you soon.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
So did we hear, since we're on enforcements, did we hear anything from the 59 Cottage Road? They were supposed to come back with an application. and-
Right, I did go out to site on last week. He did put up the silt fencing as we requested. Silt fencing was a little loose. I told him to put in a couple more stakes and make it nice and taut to make sure it's not
Yeah.
going to erode the sediment. He agreed to do that. And had conversations with him while on site and also earlier today that he, got a contractor come out and he's going to get a wetlands application in as we had asked him to do so. So he's in progress of filling out what he needs to do.
Okay, perfect.
Okay.
Just was wondering where we're at. Anything else, Rick, or?
I guess a previous one from, we had some issues out at Yankee Castings.
Oh,
If
yes.
you remember.
It's funny that I hate to cut you off, but I think it's funny that you brought that one up because this is where I'm thinking this might be appropriate.
So we actually are, it's going to be brought up because there's a zoning issue too with it. So it's going to be brought up before PZC to take any further action. DEEP basically has not responded to the complaint. And a letter there was a citation issued under zoning and fines allotted. So the individual appeared to appeal that and subsequently submitted in a letter saying the machine that was supposed to handle the sand and take out any impurities will not be operating until December 31st of 2025, not 2024. Now, this has been going on since 2016.
Yeah.
So this is a major issue. We're going to P and Z. The item's going to be discussed there and taken into consideration as to any further action on behalf of the town.
So back to our mention of the $1,000 and stuff. Why don't we do that? Everything goes to P and Z for jurisdiction.
Part of that is only because there's an excavation activity, and part of their original approvals were including the minimization of that sand pile. So that's a violation of their previous approvals under P and Z. That's why that's taking place. But as for the fines, that's another issue altogether that we can have further discussions on, something like that continues and continues, and there's no remedy for it.
Right.
How many cease and desists have we
We've done
sent
a
them?
lot, yeah. Over the years, we've done a lot of them.
For wetlands alone, I want to say there's been 4 cease and desists.
Yeah.
Two of which have not even been remedied.
So we've never done this before. Sorry, Stephen.
okay.
What is it? Do we just vote on that we issue a
Start
fine?
fine people or do something?
I can't answer that. Under the
Yeah, we've
statute,
never
you
done
can.
it.
Yeah, I think we need to.
Yeah.
I mean, we have these people that repeaters.
Bless you.
I don't know the specifics for the procedure for that.
Okay, we'll
So
find out. and-
we will find out, and we'll get back to you by the next meeting.
Yeah.
And do we need to maybe inquire with the town attorney?
That's
Yeah.
that's
They-
my
they would
that's
have-
my route.
Yeah.
That's what I will do.
All right, yeah, if you could do that, Stephen or whoever,
Yeah.
I think it would be appropriate because this is just too long and they've been just,
But we've had other enforcements
Yeah.
that just
Yeah.
people don't do what we ask
Yeah,
them to do.
yeah.
Would
There's
it
got to be
help-
something we can do to make, otherwise it's like, why we even bother?
I agree. I mean, adding the citations, giving us the ability to issue citations gives our regulations some teeth.
Yes.
Now, could we just add this to our regulations?
It already is.
Because it is part of the statute.
Yep.
So it is. So we just never use it.
We've never used it.
Yeah.
Would it be of any benefit to send a letter from our board to PCC to let them know the lack of follow-through we've had with them?
I think they know.
I'm sure they know, and if they're not aware of it, they will be made aware of it.
Okay, thank you.
So.
Because they won't know, how long we've been working on something. We assume they know, but I'm glad you're going to tell them.
The report that I submitted, they'll know everything that's included, dating back to
Oh, it's something
2016.
included.
Yeah.
That's
Thank
good.
you.
And especially, he told us last time he was here that he would follow up with us, that he'd come back in, and we haven't seen anything.
He never got back to us, and he's no longer employed there.
Oh, he's not? Okay.
No, it's someone totally different now.
No, wow. Well, yeah, we need to see that person then.
Yeah. See what's going on. Next is our planning staff report.
I have nothing to report.
Then we have applications to receive, probably none. 'Cause we don't have any.
Nope.
Miscellaneous. So, a lot of you went to the conference. You want to give us a little thought on what you thought of it? And
Well, Chris brought up, one of the things that they brought to our attention was that it is in the statute, and he and I agreed that this is something that, especially this year, it seems like there's a lot of violations going on, and people aren't taking it seriously.
Right.
So that, we don't want to charge anybody, but we want to be able to have the ability to say, yeah, we can.
Yeah, we
You know,
might.
We might, and so just do what's right, because we're trying to protect the environment. I also learned about vernal pools. I thought that was very interesting, and they taught us how we can find them on Google Earth and how they could be cataloged and tracked. So I thought that was very interesting, and I want to use that tool when we get anything that's in the forest. So I'll just
You'll
go
have to
look.
share that with us.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. And there was one, and I told you guys before the meeting, so I'll just tell you publicly. We had a discussion about, there was a discussion about site walks and how they should be handled, and we do them perfectly. So just as a compliment to our commission.
Nice, thank you. Anybody else want to comment? That want to?
Covered it.
Oh, I didn't mean to steal any of your thunder.
Just one other thing that if anyone here it might be useful for, and if there are like one or two people that watch this at home, DEEP just released their aquatic invasive species grant money. So like if you, and I know with like the winters that we've had or lack thereof the last couple of years, and then this sort of long fall, invasive aquatic species are definitely making their home, so it's a good time to get them out. So you can contact them with any questions about that to get some money or some help with the removal of invasive aquatic species. And the deadline is December 6th, so.
Maybe staff should send a letter out to the chair or whoever of the two lake associations.
The lakes, freshwater pond, and then any other streams or, would be.
Along with our notification about doing construction.
Yes, yes.
And actually, they really need to come before.
Yeah, well before.
Well before they drain the lake, because, it fills up naturally, so.
Yeah, I mean, it's always planned every year when they're gonna do
Do it.
that, so, and, we had a member of their, I think she had a officer position in it, and she said that it goes out and they tell people, get this stuff done.
Yeah.
And that should not happen.
Yeah, they should say that they might have to come to wetlands or.
Right, if there's construction.
Yeah.
Check with the town first.
Yeah.
anything.
And get permits or,
Yeah.
yeah. They always get stuck at the end when we come in and say, stop.
I actually should have mentioned this under planning staff report. Thank you, Rick, for reminding me about this. Earlier this morning, I was at a pre-con meeting for the freshwater pond dredging. We did the pre-con this morning, and they said that they wanted to get their surveys done Friday and ideally start the dredging on Monday, if I remember correctly. So that dredging will be starting hopefully in the near future.
Yeah, that's good. That's very good.
So would the grant that Chris told you about, would that be helpful? Because I know firsthand there's a lot of invasive plants in freshwater pond. Maybe we should consider, applying for the grant quickly because we can get some money.
I'm not sure. I don't think that would be applicable for the dredging because that's already been an approved application and that's going to start shortly. But I can look into it and see if that's something that maybe we can
Watch for?
watch for. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll
look into it tomorrow and see what we can do.
Yeah, maybe the town has an area they need.
That soccer field is happening.
Well, like I said, I'll look into it tomorrow and I'll see what see if the grant can apply towards anything that the town has.
Okay. Anything else under miscellaneous? No?
No.
One thought, Stephen, so the application we didn't have all the updated information that we talked about earlier.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, it's important that we have all that.
Yeah, no, I apologize. That came in literally 15 minutes before
Or
the
just
town
let us
hall.
know as we talk about it,
Yeah,
that we don't have all the information. Because we might have stopped it sooner and say, wait, stop.
Yeah.
We want all the updated information before we make any decisions.
Right. Going forward, I'll make sure I notify you of these things
Yeah.
in a more appropriate manner.
Yeah,
My
no, that's fine,
apologies.
that's fine. No,
I'll do better
yeah.
in the future.
You're learning, we'll teach you.
Yeah, there were a lot of issues and it just spelling and
Yeah.
things wrong on there. I was concerned.
Yeah, okay, so that's good. Anything else? Anybody?
Move to adjourn.
Ginny, second? Ken, all in favor? Aye. And it is 8:44.